Good day to you all, and welcome to the YouTube side of Wellness in Wellville. I should say welcome to Wellville, but I know so many of you are working on your health issues and you're working hard on them. And, when you wake up to the reality of life here and what it takes to be well and what all the generations of the tear down of the human cell and the extreme acidosis that all this has created, and the tremendous effort it takes those individuals to come back from this. So I really take my hat off to all of you, and you've all done very well. Don't give up. Don't let anything stop you from acquiring your remedy. No matter how hard you have to work, you have your ups and downs. If you have to cheat once in a while, okay, just keep going. Just keep plowing the field. Just keep digging in and keep moving that lymph, because you want to see sediment like this. Is that not cool or what? Now, I told Yash, who is one of the YouTubers in Thailand, to get on the Facebook and talk about his dry fast, because he's been doing a lot with the herbs and the raw, and then he's been incorporating 3 and 3.5 day dry fasts, and he's got like probably twice or 3 times this out, and then just tons and tons of mucus. That is where it's at, and we might have to see some of that. And those that are struggling with tumors and things, you might have to do up some water fasting and some dry fasting. I've been holding people off from that a little bit, only because I just it's hard enough for people anyway on the fruits and the berries and the melons. And to go into water fasting, that's another trip in and of itself. You guys are good out there. You YouTubers and you young people are just tearing it apart. You guys don't have a problem doing this. But we also have the older people, and they have some problems doing that as well. Now, there's some older people that don't. I certainly don't have a problem with fasting whatsoever. So, I do want to apologize to you guys in one way, because when I did this interview on raw bras, I had no idea they were going to charge for that. I personally will never charge for these videos for you guys. This is my gift to the world. I am here for this reason. I don't need to be puffed up ego-wise with this, because I'm a God man. That's the only thing that matters to me. I'm just here giving you the information that I know and have learned through some reincarnations, if you will, and what you need to do about it to get well. And I just have gone by my 40-some years now of working with so many people in their detoxification focus and how we get tissue regeneration. So didn't realize that was going to be charged, and I won't do any interviews that they're going to charge for it, because I don't think that's right. I know guys like that have to make money and stuff, and I guess I don't blame them in that way. But and Dan had asked me maybe I should have some kind of group sessions where we charge for it. But at this point right now, I am really trying to build you guys up. And it is not about the money whatsoever. It's about lifting the consciousness of this area up. That is essential. Now, with that said, I just, sometimes through the years, you hear all these different people saying these different things, and you just, sometimes you just bite your lip and you go on. But we're in a world of so much disinformation, half-truths, and just idiocy, just stupidity in a way. So, this video is going to be a short one, then I'll run another one and get to your questions and answers. But this one is on high fructose corn syrup versus fruit. For anybody out there to compare the fructose in fruit with high fructose corn syrup, ought to have their head examined. And that's part of the problem that we're dealing with, is reputable, supposedly, physicians coming out and making stupid statements in reference to that sort of thinking. And of course, with this actor going to the hospital, trying to play the Jobs game, And he claimed he went to pancreatitis because of the fruits, and then the fructose creates it spreads pancreatic cancer, and all this kind of stupidity that's out there. It's just, I just can't even believe it. And this one is on Dr. Mercola, drmercola.com. I don't know if this guy's a medical doctor. Of course, everybody heard of him. But what some false statements, some misinformation in his stuff, and for an individual that supposedly has a reputation like this to compare fructose in fruit with high fructose corn syrup, you know, no offense to any medical doctor out there, because we have friends, we have those that are doing well, we have a nice group in California doing well. This is not for them. These are the medical doctors that come into our field here, my field, and maybe they read a book over a weekend. So like a surgeon down here that took a few weekend classes, and now he's an acupuncturist. Scary. You know, when you come in this natural health field and you make claims, you ought to put up with the same thing that we put up in making claims in your field. I have spent 40 years of being abused by medical doctors, calling me every name in the book, and putting up with that, and yet we're always cleaning up your messes. And to bring some ridiculous statement out here relating high fructose corn syrup with fruit sugar is just an insanity that can't be. And this is the typical problem with chemistry. Calcium's calcium, right? No, it is not. So let's take a look at this one more time, and don't let all you YouTubers and you Facebook people, don't you ever fall into this sort of bull crap. This is not thinking. This is unawareness, and this is the kind of crap where misinformation gets out there. So let's just come back and take a look at this. There are 3 simple sugars on this planet, and you must understand that sugar equals carbon. That's why we call those foods high in sugar carbohydrates. They're carbon chain constituents. Carbon is essential up over fats and proteins or amino acids. They are essential fuel to create ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That is cell energy. That's charging the battery of a cell. And so carbon is essential, derived from sugar. There are 3 simple sugars. You can't get any more simpler than 3 simple sugars. That's as simple as you can get them. Fructose, fruit sugar. Glucose, vegetable sugar. And galactose, milk sugar. Now, most vegetables, of course, are glucose. You might find some fructose in vegetables, of course, but the predominant sugar of a vegetable is glucose. And the same thing with corn. Now, corn, we have corn starch, and then we have corn syrup, right? You understand, to get to the sugar, you have to break down, you get rid of the germ, you get rid of the hull, you get rid of these. So what do you have to first do? You have to first break it apart. Now, which side of chemistry do we go to break apart things? Acids. So you have sulfur, yes, our little friend, dioxide. A little bit, isn't there a treatment people are doing with sulfur dioxide? I mean, just insanity thinking. This is an acid mix that breaks the hull away. So then, after you start breaking up and getting down to the starch, and you get down to the glucose, you want to convert the glucose into fructose. And so you use enzymes to do this, particularly the alpha and the glucoamylase. And you use these to start breaking down this, converting these still simple sugars to fructose. And the process, just get online and study. Maybe I'll put it up on my website, so you'll see the process of deriving high fructose corn syrup, which is about 99% fructose, which corn only yields 40-some% when you use the enzyme. So you have to then refine it even more. So you've refined the corn to a point of just insanity to get this high fructose corn syrup. And this is extremely high fructose, but very processed to get there. Not the same sugar that you're going to get out of an apple, out of a banana. And it is said that for the equal amount of sugar, you would have to have 10 to 20 times the fruit to even get close to that level. And sugar is mandatory for the cell. We used to call fruit sugar grape sugar. That's the old days. Vital to the human body. So you must understand that you can't go after the sugar problem like that. Now let's look at pancreatic cells and fructose. All cells require sugar. I don't care if it's the pancreas, it's the liver, it's the heart, it's the kidneys. And if you think that you have to eliminate this side of life to cure cancer, then you don't even know what cancer is. It is obvious to me that Dr. Mercola does not have a clue to what cancer is and what causes it. No offense to him, but in reading his work here, it's obvious. It's some kind of disease you're kind of treat. Therefore, you don't understand about feeding cells. It's a moot point. You cannot stop the ingestion of sugar in your body without killing yourself. You can't do it. Atkins tried to do it so you could lose weight. What was his thought? Starve the body for sugar, which is mandatory. Then the body has to turn to its glycogen or its fat reserves to break that down into sugar, so then you lose weight. To do that, though, you had to go way up to the top of the mountain where the proteins live. Very few people want to tread to the proteins because that's where the problems are. This is the acid side. That's the dark shadows in the night. And so we travel there. What that does is acidify the body, creates ketosis from excessive fat breakdown, and then acidosis from the proteins. So how many people died from that? How many people ended up on the heart slab with open heart surgeries from the Atkins diet? Now you notice the Atkins people's adding a bunch of fruit and a bunch of vegetables to their proteins. Better. But what people don't understand is that sugar feeds every cell. But cancer isn't a disease. You're not trying to starve the cells for sugar, are you? Because if you starve a cancer cell, who else are you starving? Exactly. Because every cell burns either fructose, glucose, or galactose. We need the sugar. It doesn't burn the sugar. It kicks the hydrogen out of the sugar and pulls the carbon up to mix with oxygen. It's that simple. And so when you think you're going to starve cells to treat cancer, that's the same philosophy as giving chemo. That's just totally, you do not understand what causes cancer. Understand that cancer is simply a damaged cell by what side of chemistry? You only have two, so pick one. Right, the acid side, the corrosive side of chemistry is what damages cells. This is an alkalosis, and this is the whole problem with Mercola. He's falling into the medical thinking of alkalosis as opposed to acidosis. That's their downfall. That's why most chemical medications are acids. Why we talked about the steroids injected into the spine, methyl acetate. And you're blaming it as a fungal injection that caused meningitis? I get a bunch of acids in your brain, you're going to have meningitis for sure. Matter of fact, worse. I mean, this is the problem with allopathic thinking. They're locked in the treatment with acids, the very thing that's causing all the problems. This is a major oxymoron. I feel that it's a criminal issue at this point because it's just killing way too many people, and it's hurting millions. And we're sitting there allowing that. And we're passing laws on the Obamacare to force you to buy insurance to go to them. I mean, this is insanity, guys, and these humans have to wake up on this planet. And you have to wake up over this sugar issue because this is ridiculous. So let's look at jobs here. Let's look at what Mercola said in his thing here. Fructose, a simple sugar found in fruit, is preferably metabolized to fat in your liver. Now, here we go. All sugar is metabolized to fat when you have too much of it. If not, it's stripped of its hydrogen and burned as carbon, not stored as fat. That's a misstatement right there, misinformation again with that. So eating very large amounts, or worse, nothing but fruit, can logically, that's not logical at all, increase your risk of a number of health conditions. Oh, is it really? From insulin and leptin resistance to cancer. I've never seen stupidity like this. It's just unreal. They have no clue to what's going on here. Unreal. For example, research has shown, if that's research, it's bullshit research. It has no clue. Somebody was observing the research, didn't get it, didn't understand that sugar feeds cells and that you're going to feed pancreatic cells, but you're going to feed hepatic and liver cells. You're going to feed kidney cells. Give me a friggin' break. Divide and proliferate. Every cell is going to divide and proliferate. The problem is the acids. Where do they come from? This is cell waste. This is about the lymph system, acidosis, and how acids damage the DNA of cells. Go back to the 2 latest studies on chemotherapy. What did they find? That chemotherapy damages the DNA of healthy cells. Is that now a criminal act to inject chemotherapy into the human body, damaging a person's cells? Because that's their path to death. So it's manslaughter. What's going on here? Where's the FBI? Where's all the supposedly legal eagles when it comes to this sort of thing? This is unbelievable. And the stupidity just keeps going on, I recommended limiting your total fructose consumption to about 25 grams. You know, you got to get out of that bull crap, intellectual crap that only works in half-truths, and then it picks up on stuff like these studies, which most of these studies are bullshit studies. They have no relationship to truth whatsoever. Matter of fact, go to 60 Minutes, who did a whole segment on double-blind studies, and see what they found out. You know, it's just ridiculous. Let's go on here. I mean, I wrote all kinds of things because this kind of really sent me out the left to see this guy coming up with stuff like this. And this guy, people look to him for health. I mean, you don't look to people like this for health. And these people need to close up shop and go away because they're part of the problem, not part of the solution. And this is just disseminating misinformation here. Eliminating processed foods and soda. Whoopee, absolutely processed. But fruit sugar is essential to life. To all species, sugar is essential. We get confused and think of starch, complex sugar. So corn is a starch. Corn is dye, which is 2 or more saccharide. Saccharide is a sugar. So corn is more like a polysaccharide that has to be broken down and processed into simple glucose and then conversion to fructose. And then you have to take that fructose and you have to refine it more to get it up to 90% pure or more. It's just ridiculous. Here's a good one. Your pancreas contains 2 types of glands, exocrine, endocrine, all right, that produce enzymes that break down fats and proteins. Well, that's not true right off. Proteins are not dealt with by the pancreas. It's dealt with by the stomach, hydrochloric acid and pepsin in the small bowel, protease. Your fats are broken down by the gallbladder. Your carbohydrates are broken down by the pancreas. And endocrine glands that make hormones like insulin and regulate sugar in your blood. Insulin is not a regulator of sugar. It's a carrier. It's a hormone carrier. What regulates sugar is cortisol, is your adrenal steroids. So misinformation all the way down through here. Steve Jobs died of tumors originating in the endocrine glands, which are among the rare forms of pancreatic cancer. Very curable stuff. His cancer was detected during an abdominal da-da-da-da-da. Now listen to this. 5 years later, he underwent an experimental procedure. Oh, they don't tell you things like this. Called peptide receptor radioactive therapy, blah, 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 which involved developing radiation to tumor cells by attaching 1 or 2 radioactive isotopes to a drug that mimics, I can't even pronounce that, the hormone that regulates the entire endocrine system and the secretion of other hormones. This treatment was also failed. No kidding. What he did was he took radiation right to the cells. Oh, this didn't work. Of course, it helped to kill the cells even more. So Jobs right there was even more damaging more cells. And you can't just target pancreatic cells. I have news for you. You can't just target pancreatic cells. And if you're using this hormone that I rarely hear of at all, and it does deal with all the endocrine glands, you can literally radioactively kill all your glands. It's just insane type of thinking that you're only going to target certain cells. Right. Think again. I mean, it just goes on and on. Insulin production is one of your pancreas' main functions used by your body to process blood sugar. Not true. And in the laboratory, insulin promotes the growth of pancreatic cancer cells. Excuse me. Insulin is a carrier, and it's going to carry across the membrane of a pancreatic cell as it is a liver cell, a heart cell, or a toenail cell. I mean, this is the kind of crap that's out there, and it quite truthfully, it is frustrating because of the gigantic stupidity. And I could go on in his case, reading all this crap that Mercola wrote. And I find that just a bunch of crap. And if you fall into that, relating simple fructose sugar to high fructose corn syrup, I don't know what to tell you. I tell you need a dose of higher lifting consciousness. And if you know that I'm passionate about this, is because this misinformation is telling a lot of people that a fruit are bad for you, and that is a bald-faced lie. And it always will be. And if you don't get with the fruits and the berries and the melons, your health is only going to be just like this. We are a tropical species. If this was true, you would have all the primates dead of pancreatic cancer. You'd have all the islanders dead from it, because there are so many of these older islanders that, got to be 100 years old just eating fruit only. Uh-oh. What are we going to say about that one? Too much fructose? I mean, this is idiocy, guys, to relate fructose in a fruit to high fructose corn syrup. Excuse me? I mean, this is the same thing in chemistry, you know, relating elements to elements. And that's why we have this fetish about minerals. Minerals are not the savior of life. Come on. At best, they hold back some symptoms. But these are inorganic, low-charged elements that have very little but obstructive factors in the body. You got to get your head out of the ground and up higher, you guys, at dealing in these heavy minerals. But this sugar problem, you guys, please get with this. Don't fall prey to stupid crap like this. And one of you YouTubers asked me to comment on this, and I had to. Because this, again, another medical doctor out there, I think he's a medical doctor. If not, I apologize to you medical doctors, because a lot of you are not saying crap like this. You know better. And for somebody that has a reputation out there to relate fruit like this, I mean, this is totally medical thinking, and you can see why half the world is dying. And that's the problem. We have to shake these people awake, because half the world is dying out there. I get all these emails from Turkey, from Israel, and Romania, and all you guys are so sick, and all you practitioners have been telling me how bad it is in your countries. And this is allopathic thinking. You got to graduate from that. You got to graduate away from this sugar thing, because this is not how you get rid of your cancers. By starving yourself for sugars? That's crazy. That's what the Hippocrates thinks too. That's why their success is very weak when it comes to removing of tumors. You have to get into these high levels of fruits. We are frugivores, please. And all vertebrates get on this. All vertebrates require sugar. Let me tell you, you've got to have sugar to feed a cell. Let's replace sugar with a proper name. Carbon. You got to have carbon. So, I'm going to cut off with this, but you can see, this is stuff after a while. It just, after 40 years of hearing this kind of crap from these supposedly great people out there making tons of money off people with supplements and crap like that. That's what we did 40 years ago. Wake up. Doesn't work. And that's the problem. Half of this, I've been through this all these years. It doesn't work. You guys are tapped into the system that's the top of the mountain. Don't let anybody shake your booty off of the top of the mountain. That's what's going to happen. These are people that are channeled for the negative forces. The negative forces do not want you well. That's the game here. You got the game, positive and negative. And the negative is always biting at your heels. Notice that? So it's not all good. There's always the negative coming in, although the negative is good in that it's education time. So you don't want to be involved in education time listening to these people, because if you do, you're not going to end up keeping your physical body. These people can't cure anything, especially with these type of philosophies. So don't ever get mixed up. If this guy ended up in the hospital from a fruit diet, guess what happened? Threw him into a major healing crisis. And ironically, it's possible this actor has pancreatic problems. It isn't the blood, it isn't the fructose that created pancreatitis. That's all base chemistry. Base chemistry doesn't cause inflammation. Base chemistry is anti-inflammatory. What causes inflammation? Acidosis. But what does fruit do? This is why those of you that took your took your robe and you put it on and you started wearing it, when you started seeing all your symptoms go away and you started getting rid of the vegetables, you started getting better and better and better, you proved it for yourself. You just saw how ridiculous this kind of thinking is. Arnold Ehret would have definitely rolled over in his grave about 10 times. I mean, that's ridiculous. So this comparison out there of I wonder who paid him for that one. Because that, if I come out with like that, you guys would probably leave me because you say, this guy is king-size stupid. Comparing high fructose corn syrup with fructose in a fruit? I don't know what's going on out there. But look at the process you have to do to take glucose or a complex dye, which is 2 or more polysaccharides out of a corn, because corn is starch, and break it down to simple glucose and then convert as much fructose and part of the glucose, if they can, into fructose. Superior sugar all day, every day long. Always. And you got to have it, guys. You got to have it. It's all the fruit is filled with all the other goodies, too. You have all the nutrition. What do you have in high fructose corn syrup? Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many processes to get it from 40% to 90%. Who knows all the chemical processes there too? This is extremely concentrated sugars. It more acts like a poly than it does a mono. So yeah, we're having problems with that, absolutely. So it's like soda pop, apple. You make your choices. But I love you guys. But don't be trapped by idiocy like this and by false statements by these docs who think their reputation is so great that they don't have to know truth. I mean, it's difficult for me not to borderline slander these people, because it's just, they've slandered me all my life. They've called me every name in the book, and yet the stupidity is, I've never seen it higher. So we have to pull ourselves out of this, guys, and not fall into that sort of thing, because you guys know better. Now, I want to cut this off so he can put this on as a separate thing, and then I'm going to come back and get to your questions, because you got a lot of great questions. And you guys are so good. I love you so much. You guys are just the cat's meow. And don't ever forget that. Check the ego at the door and love yourself, because your beauty is what makes the world go round. Each and every one of your beauties, remember that, is what makes all life beautiful. Isn't it beautiful to look at different flowers and look at the beauty of everything different? That's why there's not two things the same in creation. Not two snowflakes are the same. Now, when you go up to, let's say, Boston, where my ex-private assistant is, she is in, almost 3 feet of snow. How many snowflakes do you think fell up there in New England? Each one of them were different. There's no two snowflakes the same. There's no two blades of grass the same. Is that not cool? I mean, when you start looking at the complexities of life and the individuality of life in creation, it's beyond amazing. Yet you must keep the simplistic element of all things, because if you lose simplicity, you'll lose yourself in creation. When you maintain simplicity, it keeps the mind open and your consciousness awake. When you try to get intellectually, you start writing bullcrap things like this Mercola stuff. And then everybody gets the wrong information. Oh, can't have fruit. Makes you fat. Oh, God. How many people are you got fat on fruits and vegetables out there? We have the other problem, don't we? Absolutely, because of the malabsorptions. This stuff is so far beyond these people and their thinking, I don't even know why they're trying to get in our field for. I don't know why these people, Whitaker and all these people, are trying to get in our field for. These people come in with medical awareness and not naturopathic awareness. And I'm not going to go in the medical field without some training and some knowledge. I spent years in cardiopulmonary thing. I went to school for it. I went to school for the heart. I learned all about the heart, the meds, the intubations, advanced life supports. I took everything I could get because I want to know. I want to know what I don't want to be out there stupid. So that's the thing. And you just have to become aware of and dissimulate which is true and which isn't true, which is common sense and which isn't. And this is not common sense. The comparison of high fructose corn syrup to fructose in fruit? That reminds me of a chemist, an organic chemist who thinks calcium is calcium, and there's no differences, and there are differences. There's differences in everything. So just be aware and don't let these things trap you, and don't let them stop you eating these delicious fruits. Our problem isn't with the fruits, it's a problem with the quality of fruits. It is the problem of not. The fruits are the one thing that if you pick them unripe, you do enter another world of chemistry. It is better to let your fruits ripen, which brings that fructose on, which alkalizes that and brings that into a state of balance and health. And so we just have to learn how to raise good fruit. And let me tell you, there's nothing like it. These people never tried a fruit diet. This guy that went to the hospital on a fruit diet needs to be looked at. And he probably went just from a straight, typical South American diet right into a fruitarian diet. That'll kick your butt more than you can even know. So this guy got his butt kicked, but it wasn't because fruit were bad, is it? Not at all. But fruits are the top detoxifiers of the human body, and they will let you know where you have what? Your weaknesses. Detoxification isn't symptom-free, is it? You learn in detoxification where what? Where all your weaknesses are. If we didn't have iridology, it wouldn't matter, because you're going to know in detoxification where your weaknesses are, because it pulls it out. It lets you know it. That's where you have to work on. Healthy tissue you aren't healthy. You don't know anything's going on there. And you won't in detox either, because there's nothing going on there, except for maybe acidosis, systemic inflammation from acidosis, from lymph stagnation. But if you have a weakness somewhere, those cells just might let you know, from extreme pain to just a little cough. It can be all levels of this. So learn all you can about proper detoxification. Don't ever be afraid to eat a piece of fruit. These people are anti-God almost. I mean, to say something like that, it shows you how disconnected from nature these people get. And that's why I've been telling you about the mind, the intellectual mind. You know, some of you beat me up on that, but you've got to realize that the mind can be your worst enemy. It needs to be your slave in a sense. It needs to be your gopher. Not you, it needs to be your gopher. It can't dominate your consciousness. If you're dominated in thought, you miss out on so much of life that you can't see, and you end up like these people, making false statements, half-truths, and just reading his stuff, you'll see how that's unrelated totally. Off point. It's just amazing. So anyway, you all have a fun day. I'll be right back. I'm going to cut this off and try to get Chris to get this up so we can get this up, because now everybody's talking about this. So let's talk about it. But just Google up how you make high fructose corn syrup, and you tell me. It's just idiocy. And just remember that. Always read through what people are writing and how they write it. Like fructose is converted to fat in the past, only if you have too much. Very rare to have too much fructose. Glucose is more likely the one to convert to fat or glycogen. Supposed to if you have too much. But sugar metabolism isn't insulin. It's adrenal glands. Hello, guy must not have had endocrinology. All right, I'll see you later. I'll see you right back here in just a few minutes. Thank you. I love you all, and sorry for this, but I'm telling you, you know, where you just get enough is enough. And this argument on fruit sugars is a stupid one. And it's leading man down the wrong path. But that's the goal of the negative forces. The goal of the negative forces is to pull you deep within itself. The positive forces with itself. So we have this. And you have to sit there and disseminate the right information for yourself so you don't pick up misinformation, like the protein myth. Got to have protein. I mean, there's so many myths out there that we need to call the Mythbusters. See you in a bit.